Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Rise of the Phoenix, and this is going to be my next video in my series of faction overviews. This video will be focusing on Erebor. We'll talk about their faction bonus, tier 4 units, recommended early game buildings, commanders, and their political situation on the map. But before we get into all of that, if you enjoy my content, please do take a minute to like this video and consider subscribing to my channel. Welcome back, everyone. We'll get started with Arabor's faction bonus, the Sons of Durin. It is a conscription / hiring time reduction of 5%. All conscription and hiring time reductions stack multiplicatively with each other. So the value of this is interestingly the most in the early game before you have all of your buildings upgraded and the conscription skill on your ring skilled, or control of structures that reduce conscription time as well. Overall, I think it's a pretty solid faction bonus. It just allows you to replace your losses a little bit quicker than other factions. I don't think it's like super game changing, but it's definitely not a bad one. There are certainly worse faction bonuses out there. We can talk about their tier 4 unit. Speaking of very, very good things about this faction, Arabor gets the Iron Warrior. So these are an infantry unit. You get 50 per command versus the 100 per command of most infantry units, since these guys are tier 4s. However, their stats are quite phenomenal. They have 84 health. If we were to compare that to a Guardian, these guys have 40, except you're getting 2 Guardians per Iron Warrior. So really they have 80 if you're going to compare them directly. Let's remember their damage. We'll double it, 14 to 40. We'll say this is 30 to 34. So these guys are going to be doing a little bit less damage, but they also come with a whopping 116 defense, which is just exceptional. And they have 2 very nice skills. Full armor is 1.5% reduction in physical damage received at 10 of 10. Do the math, that's a 15% reduction in physical damage. If we were to compare that to the Guardian's shielding, a 50% chance, at 10 of 10, this is going to be 50% chance to reduce physical damage by 20%. So a 50% chance to reduce damage by 20% is on average effectively a flat 10% reduction in damage. So Iron Warriors also win in this regard. They're going to take a bit less damage on average. And they have a nice little buff of plus 20% at 10 of 10. 20% damage against melee units, and melee units in this game are super strong and super prevalent, so you will get a lot of value out of this. Overall, these guys are some of the best, maybe the absolute best tank units in the game. As I mentioned a minute ago, their speed, obviously their speed is lacking. I was reading that while I was actually supposed to say damage. Their damage is lacking, their speed is low, but it doesn't really matter that these guys don't do very much damage because that's not their job. Their job is to sit on the front line and not die, and they are extremely good at that. These guys are really great tier 4 units. There are a number of commanders that support dwarves, and dwarves have pretty good itemization overall from what I've seen as well. So I'd probably put these guys in S tier or very high A tier as far as tier 4 units go. So definitely solid units. All right, recommended early game buildings for Erebor. Erebor is an awesome faction as far as their unit roster goes. In my opinion, unless you're using cavalry commanders, I would just focus on their core military buildings. I would upgrade like the other quarters themselves because they do give resources and gold, and the gold levy is very, very nice. Lets you get those unit upgrades quicker. But overall, I just think they have a solid set of units. You have your Guardians to tank damage. You have your Master Throwers that you can use on 200 power tiles, and just good units in general, use them for bosses as well. Ram Riders, they're not the most high damaging cavalry in the game, but their trample is an awesome ability, and heatproof skin is also quite nice as well. And as we just talked about, their tier 4 unit is great. So if you're struggling for resources early on and you don't want to upgrade all of these other military buildings to unlock units in the early game, don't feel like you have to. I think you can go very, very far just on the back of your dwarven units. If you're using cavalry commanders, well, you probably shouldn't have picked Erebor as your faction, but you could go for cataphracts because they are also really tanky, and then pick up cavaliers and potentially bow knights. But the awkward thing is having only T3 cavalry options on commanders that want to focus solely on cavalry. You're just not going to be as strong as something like Gondor or Rohan or Angmar that have very powerful tier 4 cavalry options available to them. I'm sure people can make it work. I'm sure you could pick up something like Bree Riders potentially, although getting there as Erebor might be hard. Or if you're on a normal server, so a non-roleplay server, you might be able to do some shenanigans as well. But yeah, very solid roster of units. You can definitely take 200s, 230s, 260s, and 300s with just these guys right here. So definitely save your resources if you feel like you need to. As far as recommended commanders for Arabor, go ahead and go here. Dwalin is definitely like, I would pick him every single time with Erebor. This guy does super nice damage for a T1 commander. He can also farm bosses because of Warrior of the Lonely Mountain and the Musician Trees. He's just super flexible, and all of Erebor's tanky units will give him time to just get in there, deal damage on his own, kill everything. If you want to play the cavalry angle, you can go for Eowyn. Otherwise, I'm not sure what other tier 1 commander I would recommend. Haldir is not bad, but he wants ranged units, and Faramir is like okay, I guess. Maybe Boromir? I don't know. Definitely Dwalin though, for sure. As far as tier 2 commanders go, Legolas and Gimli are both really good damage dealers that will pair well with Erebor's Guardians and Iron Warriors. Gandalf the Grey, as I'm going to say in every single good faction video, is just a phenomenal commander, and everybody should be using him all the time. He's just so freaking good. And I feel like Balin could actually be pretty good with dwarves. So he has some specific dwarf skills. Dwarven Leader, quite nice, doing extra damage, receiving less damage. Lord of Moria, I haven't actually seen like how much does this truly heal for. I would really love to see somebody try out Balin as an actual commander, like not a troll commander, a for real commander with Erebor. I think he could be pretty good. I feel like most people just opt to go the safe options of like Dwalin and Gimli, and of course the ultimate dwarf. If we move on to our tier 3 commanders, Dane. This guy is just ridiculous with dwarves. He does a bajillion damage. He has a lot of skills that also support dwarves. Well, he has King Under the Mountain, which is quite a good skill. He has Lord of the Iron Hills. I don't know if most builds take this, though. It might. He also has Dwarven Leader. So, I mean, this guy is just one of the best tier 3 commanders that Good Side has. And he really likes to use dwarves, because I've definitely seen builds that take his respect 5. And just a good skill, and getting plus 2 HP, not a bad max bonus. And finally, oh wait, I was also going to say Gandalf the White. I just looked over at my notes and remembered that. Gandalf the White would be another good T3 option, I think. Potentially King Aragorn, although he would basically just be T2 Aragorn with better stats. I just really like Aragorn, so. But I mean, he would work well with Iron Warriors because he can dish out a ton of damage and they can take damage. But my top 2 for T3 commanders, I would say, would be Dane, and then either, I don't know, Gandalf the White or Galadriel. Those would both be good options too, but for sure, Dane. And we will talk about the starting location / early diplomacy implications of Erebor. Erebor has an absolutely excellent starting location, in my opinion. They are close enough to the ring that you don't really have to worry about how am I going to get there, in the same way that something like Linden or Arnor or potentially even Angmar, now that Gundabad is a thing, you don't have to worry about how you're getting to the ring in the same way that other factions do. You're kind of in your own little corner of the world over here. Rune is almost never a powerful or active faction, so that's -1 nearby neighbor for all intents and purposes. You're quite close in all actuality to the, where was the amazing farm tiles. Maybe it didn't go down far enough. Somewhere over here. There we go. So, like, reaching this area is totally feasible. I've seen Arabor do it plenty of times. So you have a great tile stack there, and there's one up near here too. I believe it's all stone and stuff. So yeah, you have access to a huge stone hotspot. You're not that far from a huge grain hotspot, so definitely a good location resource-wise for people when they start pushing into 200/300 power tiles. And as I mentioned a second ago, you don't really have a whole bunch of enemies. The main two factions you border would be Rune, Gundabad. I suppose Mordor or Varyogs can eventually come up here. Gondor or Rohan could eventually come into this area. The other faction in the early seasons is Lothlorien, because they do start with Elven King's Halls, but they also start with other territories over here. So it's not the same sort of united front in the very early game that other factions can present. I suppose in theory it is possible to work as a team and gank a 200 power tile with multiple people and drop fortresses so that everybody could get over here and invade Erebor. Theoretically possible, haven't really seen it happen. So yeah, overall, you have good resource hotspots. You're in your own little corner. The factions that border you tend to be inactive or unable to attack you in the very, very early game. So it gives you a lot of time to work out diplomatic deals and just get the ball rolling with alliances and farm up and level up your commanders. Certainly a far cry from a faction like Rohan or Isengard or Lothlorien. So overall, one of the best starting spots in the game, in my opinion. And that's it for this video, guys. I hope you learned something useful and enjoyed it. I'll catch you in the next one. Rise of the Phoenix, over and out.